So, welcome everybody to our talk today. I first want to start off by introducing our artists today. So, I'll like have you all introduce yourself.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Stacy Hamilton. I am cousins with Stephen Hamilton. I am a local photographer based in Roxbury, Massachusetts, and I specialize mostly in portrait photography. I've been doing that for 7 years. Um, and my body of work highlights the beauty of Black women, our natural beauty, how diverse we are, and I devote a lot of my work to that because me as a Black woman, I feel like it's really important that we are highlighted. And yeah, that's what I do.
Yes. So let's jump into it. Steven, tell me about yourself.
My name is Stephen Hamilton. I am a mixed media artist. I'm a painter. I'm a traditional artisan, so I'm a weaver and dyer. I wove and dye the fabrics that are behind us right now. Um, I'm also educator, and I also identify as a researcher. I'm somebody who incorporates research into my work. And a lot of my work talks about cultural connections that exist between Africa and the diaspora, and how important understanding those cultural connections and relationships are to the empowerment of Black people, specifically Black young people.
Yes. So talk to me about the inspiration for the exhibit. Talk to me about the inspiration for Heirloom.
So Heirloom sort of came out of a project that I had developed. I wanted to do a project talking about power in pre-colonial Africa. So I wanted to do this project that would explore masculine and feminine power in pre-colonial African art and philosophy. And I thought it would be a really awesome opportunity to create these images that incorporated a diverse group of people in the Black community that I'm part of. So it gave me an opportunity to work with a lot of different people who had a lot of different personalities, a lot of different professions, a lot of different identities and intersections of Blackness that I could explore using like archetypes, imagery, and philosophy from West Africa. I also am a huge fan of Stacey's work, and we had been speaking about like ways in which we could collaborate in more meaningful ways. So, typically I take photographs, reference photos for the paintings that I do. But Stacey being a professional photographer, having her own eye and vision, us having a lot of matching ideals and perspectives when it comes to images of Black people, we both thought it would be an awesome opportunity for us to collaborate for part of that project. I know Stacey can elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yes. So, as Stephen said, like we both have similar passions when it comes to like representing our community and people who look like us. And we've collaborated before in the past, but it's always been like a kind of behind the scenes thing for me because, as Stephen mentioned, I usually take the pictures for him for like reference, and then he goes and makes them into these amazing paintings. And it was just really awesome to be able to work together and have like a show together. Because I love Stephen's work too. Like he's been like an inspiration to me on my journey to embracing my identity and highlighting more of us. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So walk us through your creative process for developing the show.
So what we did, this was it was a long process. So me and Stacey got together and we developed an interview process. So the interview process wasn't like a job interview, like you would say yay or nay. What it was we developed questions that we wanted to ask people. So I did a call for models, and the call for models was on Instagram, and I just like put out a call. I said, we're looking for Black models, all ages, all gender identities. We just want Black folks. So it's like, we just want Black people to come and to be photographed by us. A lot of people reached out and emailed. Then we sent out a follow-up email explaining what the show was, what the body of work was about. And if they were still interested in participating, then they could set up a time to be shot. So when people came in, we got a huge variety of different people, artists, like elders, like people who were parents, people who were single folks, people who were young, people who were older. It was a huge variety of different people who responded. So what we asked them is we asked them like how they found out about the project. We wanted to get to know them, so just telling like us things about themselves. And then we asked them like how do they see themselves and how do they want other people to see them? And that was the biggest thing, the ability to see yourself and to be able to have agency over the curation of how you are presented to the world. So, you know, we wanted to be mindful and thoughtful about how, you know, the people who we were, you know, taking images of and using as inspiration for the work, how they felt about being shown and how much power they had over them being shown. And we wanted the experience to be a very open and empowering experience for people who participate.
Stacy, when I saw the exhibit, Reclaiming Power, Reclaiming Our Culture, Our Identity, those were some of the first things that stood out to me. As the creator, co-creator with Stephen, what did you want your audience to take away?
The biggest thing that I wanted our audience to take away, like whoever saw the exhibit or who we know was going to see the exhibit, I wanted people to take away that we're powerful, you know, and we've always been powerful. And especially like in this day and age now, like we're seeing all that's going on in the world. We've been seeing it for a long time where, you know, there's been a lot of injustice and a lot of images and videos and media of like Black people dying. And it's really traumatic to see things like that. So I feel like our exhibit, I want people to take away that you can look at images of yourself and look at images of your history and know that you're powerful and you come from beauty and royalty and strength. And I just wanted, that's the biggest thing I wanted our audience to take away.
Yes. In that same vein, Stephen, why is this piece important now?
So I think one of the biggest things that's happening right now is that we're having conversations about whiteness. And I think that there is a very strong interrogation of whiteness right now, which needs to happen. So there's a very strong interrogation of white violence, of white supremacy. And I think what's happening now is that it's also bringing up other conversations about Blackness, like what is Blackness? What does that mean to us? And one of the most powerful things I've been reading about is like people saying like being Black isn't exhausting, whiteness is exhausting. So where do we hold on to the power of our Blackness? Where do we hold on to our Blackness as something that feeds us and enriches our life and our experiences? How does our Blackness stand as an armor against white supremacy? What does that Blackness mean beyond white oppression? I think that for me, one of the most beautiful things about research, one of the most beautiful things about exploring, you know, different African philosophies and aesthetics is you see the space for like the roots of Blackness that exist outside of white violence.
Right.
And it gives an opportunity to imagine a world outside of whiteness, a world outside of white violence. And I feel like Black people need to see that and be reminded of that because we're almost drowning in it. You know, so much of even the conversation about like the liberation of Black people is like liberation from whiteness. So it still centers whiteness.
Right. All the time, yeah.
All the time. It's like,
right.
Oh my God. And that's the thing about white supremacy. It's like all encompassing. It does not know how to shut the fuck up. Can I say
that? That's the truth.
It does not know how to like not center itself.
Okay.
You know? So I just like was like, can we center ourselves?
Yes.
You know, can we love on ourselves? And can we love on like every intersection of ourselves? Which is something that I think that we need to see. And I think that's something that's powerful. And I think that that's something that can be integrated into everything, that's integrated into liberation movements, it's integrated into education, which is integrated into art. Those are all important things. And I think that we need to be reminded for that as Black people, as a way in which we fight, but also as a way in which we take care of ourselves.
Yes. Something else that I thought was really powerful about the exhibit was seeing community in the exhibit, other Black creatives from the community. That was really, really important to me. And in thinking about that and thinking about the time in which we are right now, it makes me ask the question of what is the responsibility of the Black creative at this time? You know, what is the work? What is our contribution? How are we showing up into that?
Well, for me personally, and I was gonna say this like right as Stephen was talking because I felt like it was a nice segue. But there's this quote that I really like that I always hear during times like we're in now, where the quote is, "We are the only ones who can save ourselves," and I truly believe that because we are the only ones who can save ourselves. And for me, for Black creatives, like I feel like our responsibility is to continue to highlight each other, like be there for each other, represent each other, and never back down from that. And like me as an artist, I've been faced with like a lot of like positive things, but also a lot of challenges as well. And I have such a passion for wanting to highlight Black women specifically. As I said earlier, because I am a Black woman and growing up, I felt like I've never saw myself.
Yes.
I never saw my authentic self, like a Black woman with afro, kinky hair, darker skin. Like I've never saw that. So I'm really passionate about highlighting that. And the biggest challenge that I've had when I've done that is like hearing from other people, mostly from Black people, telling me, you know, oh, you gotta get out of that. You have to be diverse. You have to photograph other people. You can't only photograph Black people all the time. And I would get really frustrated, but it's what drove me to do it more. Yes. Because I'm like, it's my job. It's all of our jobs. We have to do that. You know, we don't have to cave in to the pressure. Just do it. You know. So I hope that answered.
Yeah, totally. Do you want to add anything, Stephen?
I agree with Stacey. I think that you owe it to yourself to be your authentic self. Like that's something that's important. And I think standing firm in that identity, especially in the face of like marginalization, is a revolutionary and radical act. So you being yourself and you expressing yourself is a radical act.
Yes.
You know, I think, you know, Nina Simone says it's the responsibility of the artist to reflect their times. And it's also the responsibility of the artist to, you know, it's the responsibility of the artist to sort of think about where they fit in this space and think about what they need and how that need fits in with a communal need. And that's sort of what I think about myself as an artist. It's like I have these specific needs that I have personally as an artist, but I also know that those are needs that are shared by a broader community of people like me. So how do I create something that's a synchronicity between those needs? Something which is expressing me, but also expressing the needs of other people. And through that, I'm able to build community. I'm like Stacey, believe it or not, I'm an incredibly introverted person. I am the
I think most of us as Black artists, Black creatives are. Yeah.
Yeah. Ask anybody, it's like, oh, see where you want to go. It's like, oh, I'll catch you later. I don't like leaving my house.
Same.
I don't like going. Like there would be more than 10 people there. Like I'm very cagey. I'm a very hard person to bring out of my shell, believe it or not. So it is my way in which I show love for other people and build community for other people is through the work.
Yes.
That's sort of how I'm showing, like, look, being with a lot of people is really overwhelming for me, but I do want to make sure that you know that I love you. I love our people, and I care about us, and I want to do something that is in some ways in service to all of us, you know, in a way which is showing like that sense of like generosity that I feel like is important for artists to have, and build that community while also not having a panic attack because of my crippling social anxiety.
Yeah. No.
So just like a side comment I wanted to make about being an artist, because I remember someone posed this question to me like about a year ago, and they had asked me if I considered myself to be an activist. And my initial response was like, no, I don't think I'm an activist, because I envision an activist as someone who is out there like marching and they're like political and things like that. But then I realized I'm like, I actually am an activist, and I feel like activism has many different faces. And I consider me and Steven to be activists, but we express through art, because we're introverted too. So, being around people and, it can get kind of like overwhelming. But we use art as a form of being an activist and showing that.
To me, also, that was something that stood out when I saw the show as well. When we're looking at art, I've always felt like when we're centering and talking about Black people, when we are pushing back against violent and oppressive like structures, that is activism. When we can show Black people and show people of African descent in their fullest being, in their fullest breadth of their being, I think it's powerful, and I think that's activism. Another piece of the show that really stood out to me was really embracing the Black body, but also embracing the power of the feminine and the masculine, and really showing that nuance. Why was that important for you all?
I think one of the reasons why that was important for me is because I think as Black people, we need to really reimagine how we think about power. Yeah. So the way that I think about masculine and femininity is the two sources of power. That's very much how they're realized in pre-colonial African context and African philosophical context. And I think some of the language that we have around masculinity and femininity is really problematic. I also think that it's important to understand that everyone navigates those two energies differently. And when we embrace that, then we can truly embrace all Black people. Like me and Stacey will tell you, we are about all Black people.
Yes.
Black people, Black men, Black women, Black gender non-conforming, Black cis, Black trans, Black straight, Black queer, like all intersections of Black identity are important and beautiful. And it's when we have these conversations about the intersections and the complexity of like masculinity and femininity, then you can have ownership and power over your body and ownership and power over your identity in so many important ways. So I think it's very important for people to think about, masculinity and femininity. Think about masculine energy. What does that masculine and active energy mean in pre-colonial African context? Like, what did that mean in terms of your ability to physically impact the world? And how did that manifest in male bodies? How does that manifest in female bodies? How does that manifest in bodies that don't identify either or both? Thinking about the power of femininity as a creative and possibly destructive force. How does that show the power of femininity, the power of womanhood, the power of feminine energy in feminine bodies or masculine bodies? Understanding that there's so much nuance and so much fluidity and so much complexity with that. And when you think about it that way, then you can see that you can look at a community of people from a variety of different backgrounds and be able to see yourselves and how you fit in this grand scheme of African philosophy and aesthetics. So looking at the ancient icons and looking at these ancient ideas and these ancient philosophies, looking at these ancient spiritualities and seeing that like within that world, there's still place for all of us. There's always been place for all of us. There's always been place and space for Black bodies. No matter what shape they're in, they come in, no matter what identity they embrace, there's always been space for all intersections of Blackness. There's been space in the past. There should be space now, and there'll be space in the future. So, as people who love Black people and want all Black people to love each other, yes. I just wanted to, we both just wanted to create images of these people in which they saw themselves and felt beautiful and felt powerful, no matter where you fit within all the intersections of being a Black person. because it's important. It's very important. That's how we, the only way we get there is together.
Yes, yes.
Like I'm hoping that was clear from the work.
Yes.
Oh, I love Stacey.
I agree.
I'm just hoping it was clear from the work.
You know, and that's like really powerful, because I oftentimes feel as though, you know, when we're talking about like Black people, Black bodies, oftentimes we separate ourselves from the like feminine, masculine, like the gender and like the power pieces of that. And I think in many ways that goes back to just how we've been conditioned, how we've been controlled mentally and socially, how we engage each other, you know. And I think it's really powerful for us to center Black folks, but also look at the nuance of our identities, you know, and the power that we all possess, and being able to embrace that power. So thank y'all for doing that. Yeah, so just two last questions I have. One, what is it that, for the folks that are going to see this exhibit online as a part of this interview series, what do you want to say to them? What do you want them to take away when they come out of the exhibit?
So what do we want to say to them?
Yes, and what do you want them to take away?
Okay. So anyone who sees our exhibit online, in person, wherever it may come up in your life, I just want to say, like, when you look at it, I want you to feel powerful. I want you to embrace your identity. I want you to be curious about encouraging yourself to have more of a knowledge of yourself.
Right.
Because I feel like when you have a knowledge of self, no one can tell you where you came from. No one can dictate where you come from. And you'll have that much more confidence to be able to stand within your own power, stand in your identity. And yeah, what was the second part of the question? Sorry.
You answered it. We want them to take away.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
you.
So
basically just like embrace yourself. And I just really want people to be curious, like be curious and knowing like, okay, we weren't always how we are now. Like it wasn't always this way. So I want people to go and, you know, we got Google, we got all types of stuff, you know. Yes. Go and encourage yourself to learn more about yourself. And that's what I want people to take away.
Thank you. Do you want to add anything?
I sort of want people to feel exactly what Stacey said.
Yes.
Also to remember the work is not done. Like, yes. I was thinking about that because I felt bad because there were people who reached out to be models and we didn't have time to photograph everybody. And there are so many other beautiful intersections of Black identities that we did not include. And, you know, we both take responsibility for that. So, you know, that work is something that I'm continuing, I'm questioning a lot about in my own work. Ways in which I can really explore those things and ways in which I can present those things and ways in which I can create work that gives space for those things. Just understanding like where do we find space in our own practices as creative people to invite people in, especially as Black people, especially as Black folks. But like Stacey said, I want people to feel power and I want people to feel beautiful. Like the whole point of this is for people to see themselves and to feel power and feel beauty and to see their kin and feel power and feel beauty and to see the beauty in them and want, you know, them to feel that power and to feel that strength, you know? So like to feel that ownership over yourself and then for you to want your kin to have and feel that ownership over themselves. You know, and just like love for Black people. Yeah. You know, like it's just like, and this is specifically for Black people. Like I love that everyone like is liking the work that we did. liking that like everyone like is enjoying like the fabrics and like all of those stuff that I made, and you know Stacy's a wizard with the camera and how she captured all those shots. I love like people liking the aesthetic part of it, but like the deeper meaning and the connect. It's made for Black people.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that Black people see that and that they feel that and they're able to place themselves and to feel themselves in that work. And I know that there's still a long road ahead in terms of making that work do that even better. But I'm hoping that they feel some of that from seeing what's there now.
Thank you all so much. Those are my questions that I have. Before we close out, I want to just open it up if you all have any closing remarks, anything that you want to say to our viewers, and anything that you want to share as well.
Yeah, so I wanted to, I love what Stephen said about how the work is not done. It's never going to be done. It's always going to be an ongoing process. And me, myself, I'm never going to stop shooting. I'm never going to stop representing us. And so there are like a few projects that I want to birth at the moment. And when things start getting better. So anyone who watches this, if you want to be photographed, if you want to be like a movement for Black people, definitely hit us up, hit me up.
Yes. What's the best? Steve, you want to add something, but also I want to make sure we share your IG contact information as well. Do you want to add anything, Stephen?
So I agree with Stacey. Like, I'm actually thinking now, like, I'm a bit overwhelmed because, like, a lot of the photos that are in the show, they're inspiration for a series of very large-scale paintings that I'm working on for a tentative show that will hopefully open in January. But like, I was actually going to talk to Stacey about like reopening the project to take a few more photographs to help enrich and supplement that body of paintings and other sculptures and works too. So like, that is something that I'm willing to do at a much smaller scale. We photographed like 20 people last summer. It was intense, but like, you know, it is something that I do want to open up for specific folks because I know that there were some people who missed out before. I also want to remind people that all the clothing that you see, every piece of fabric that you see is handmade. Everything is hand dyed. Everything is everything is hand dyed and/or hand woven. All those frames are hand carved. Again, like every part of what you're seeing was made by Black hands. Like I wove that, I dyed it, but that photograph was taken.
Yes.
That photograph was taken through the eyes of a Black woman.
Yes.
those images were like all that fabric was made by a
Black people. Yes.
I want people to know and feel that, and just to remember the beauty and the power of Black hands and Black vision.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. So how do we get in contact with y'all?
So my IG is at the artist Stephen Hamilton. If I don't already follow you and you message me, it's gonna end up in like that like message request. Like, like nobody, like it's no shade. Like I'm not trying to say that.
Just hit him in the comment section. Hit
section. Hit me up via email.
Yes.
Got you. Stephen, STEPHEN .hamilton82@gmail.com. Email me and I'll get back to you. But like you can follow me at the artist Stephen Hamilton. Stephen with a PH. That's how you pronounce Stephen. It's not Stefan.
Yes, thank you.
It's at the artist Stephen Hamilton. I don't really mess with Facebook like that. Twitter is like a little bit too wild for me, but I'm on Instagram.
All right. Stacey.
And for me, I can be reached on Instagram, email, or my website, and my website links to both of those. So www.stacehphotography.com, and my Instagram is stace_.
Yes.
And as I mentioned, if you go on my website, there's links to both my email and my Instagram, so it can just go through there.
Okay. All right, Stacy, Steven, thank you all so much for this combo. I'm really looking forward to more from you guys. I'm really looking more for like work that we'll all be doing together in the community, and really advancing Black lives and doing our work. You know, I think too often I'm tired of talking about white people. Tired.
Just like, oh Lord.
Like I'm tired of talking about white people. I
And just
don't.
like, and them just.
I don't know any other way to say it.
Like doing a bunch of shit nobody asked for. Like
You know.
Oh my God! As a Black weaver and as somebody who like studies textile history, that was the goofiest shit I ever seen. Like that was so goofy. It was just goofy. And just like there's just more of it. Like just doing. People are asking for people are very clear in their asks.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
very, very clear in their asks. Yeah. So, you know,
it's like dodging it,
like doing all this stuff nobody asked for.
Yeah, we'll talk offline. But you know, like my thing is, I want to see Black people. I want us to win. I want for us to possess and feel that power. Exactly what you all were saying about your show. And I think that until we start to center ourselves and divest from the white gaze, divest from all of the extra shit, you know, we are going to be in this sort of place, you know. And I think that we have to possess our power and take back our power and reclaim that. And I think that your show did that amazingly in being able to communicate that, you know. And I just want to say thank you so much for the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.